One of the most frustrating things in business is hitting a revenue plateau. You know you should be grateful for the money that's coming in, and you're getting good results for your clients, so you know you can grow things further, but it's incredibly annoying not getting past the goal you've set for yourself. There's a very simple 3-step formula that helps you get past your current limit no matter where you're stuck at, and I've seen it work firsthand with my clients. Corey went from 10K a month and not getting any leads from Instagram to 50K a month and generating an abundance of leads on Instagram, also booking his calendar out a month and a half in advance. Mark 4x'd his revenue in just 4 months of working together. Steve went from 500 a month to 6K a month. That's a 12x increase for those of you keeping score at home. And the most recent and most fun example, Jillian, she had never hit a month over 10K in her business, ever. And within Q1 of 2026 alone, she made $32,000, which is just under 11K a month. Fun little contrast, in 2025, she made 50 grand total. The first quarter of 2026, she made 32 grand. That's 64% of her annual income made in just 3 months. This video will reference direct experience working with clients to show you how you can beat your current financial plateau. Step number 1, it starts on an energetic level. First of all, you have to believe that you're capable of getting to the income you say you really want. And 2, you have to align your frequency with the energetic state of the goals you have for yourself. This is not woo-woo. This is not too metaphysical. It is quite literally science. Everything is made up of matter. Matter is made up of vibrating atoms. So everything has its own vibration. Your dream wife has its own vibration, her own vibration, not it. Your dream house or condo or living scenario has its own vibration. Your dream business has its own vibration, and your desired financial state, your desired financial income, your desired financial goals have their own frequency and vibration. What goes hand in hand with that is how you really feel about yourself on a deep level. Do you think you're worthy of making that kind of money? I ask people this question a lot. I go, how much money do you think you're worthy of? How much money do you think you deserve? And it's funny watching people answer this. Sometimes they'll be like, well, when I'm working hard. It's like, that's not what I asked. When everything is perfect and the circumstances line up, also not what I asked. How much money do you think you're worthy of? How much money, if you got placed in your account right now, wouldn't make you feel scared, wouldn't make you want to eject, wouldn't make you want to push it away and start spending it immediately for some reason that you've justified yourself, is a good one. One of the best things I've ever done to repair my relationship with money, call in more clients that are aligned, call in more profit, and actually be able to build my wealth, grow my savings account, and pay off debt that I had accumulated, because at one point I was 50K Canadian in debt because I just kept spending money like I had an unlimited supply in my bank account without realizing the energetics of money and what I was really doing. I thought that coaching was just supposed to fix me. If I just continued to invest in mentors and coaches and masterminds and groups, then the number would just continue to go up. When in reality, I didn't think I was worthy of making the kind of money I was making, so I created excuses that sounded good, that sounded prudent, that sounded smart for me to keep putting my credit card down. And before I knew it, after paying my team, after paying all these coaches, after paying the fees on the masterminds, the travel fees, all of it, I was 50K in debt in about May 2025. And the thing that helped me start crawling out of that was taking a second to breathe and look at the number in my account as it went up, instead of feeling the need to spend it right away. When I was 50K in debt, I had about like $6,000 Canadian to my name. In my checking account, I had like $100, and in my savings, I had 6 grand. So as soon as money would come in, I thought, oh, I'm in so much debt, I need to just get rid of it. And I knew this at the time, but I had to stop and like really think about it. Your relationship with money is like your relationship with anybody, a relationship with a friend, with a lover, with a colleague, with a coworker, with your parent. If every time somebody came over to your house and wanted to hang out, or if every time somebody called you, or if every time somebody made plans with you and they showed up and they're in your presence and you told them to get lost, would they want to keep coming around? Of course not. And yet I was doing that with my money. Okay, it's here, boom, get it away. Boom, get it away. I need to get this on the credit card. I need to do this to pay off the debt. I need to do this to book the trip. I need to do this to do XYZ, to get more flexibility. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't pay your bills. That's not the lesson of this point. What I am saying, though, is if you don't feel comfortable sitting with that money in your account, breathing it in and letting your nervous system know, hey, we're safe. Hey, it's cool. It's all right that we have this money in our account. I know we have bills to pay. I know we have things to do. I know we have objectives and goals, and those are all amazing. However, we're safe right now seeing this number increase. you're going to continue to go in that unconscious pattern of spending, of getting rid of it. Making money without keeping it, making money without multiplying it is absolutely fucking pointless. What are you doing if all you're doing, I was trying to say a word other than doing, if all you're doing is just taking the money and throwing it out the window, it doesn't really do anything. Okay, sure, you might have a better house. Sure, you might have a nicer car. Sure, you may be able to go on more trips. But if you're still in this state of scarcity, if you're still in this state of fight or flight because you don't actually think you're worthy of having more money in your account and multiplying your wealth, it will not last. So how does this relate to the idea of a financial plateau? If you haven't broken through to the next level, there's something inside of you. There is a conditioning, a belief, feeling in your nervous system that is preventing you from getting to the next level. Everybody has their own financial thermostat. Everybody has their own psychocybernetic system. A cybernetic system is a fancy way of saying there's two parameters that the system keeps you between. So a thermostat, if you set the thermostat to 72 degrees, then no matter what happens in the house, the systems will work to keep the temperature there. Autopilot is another one. No matter what's happening, if the plane is on autopilot, it will keep you within a certain set of parameters. So your financial thermostat, your psychocybernetic system, is how comfortable do you feel between 2 points psychologically, mentally, in your nervous system? How do you feel about that? Where is your wealth set point? How comfortable do you feel making a certain amount of money? Because if your financial thermostat is between, let's say, 10K and 15K a month, as soon as you get above 15K, you're gonna start self-sabotaging. And as soon as you get below 10K, you're gonna hustle hard to get back to the point of, okay, I'm good. The revenue plateau I couldn't beat for the longest time was like 22K a month American, which is about 30K a month Canadian. There was a point where I got to 42.5K a month American, which is about 56K Canadian, given the exchange rate at the time. But it didn't last. As soon as the month was over, you'd think, okay, 56K just came into your bank account. Sure, you got to pay your team. Sure, you have expenses. Sure, you have costs, whatever. But you should have at least like a little bit more money in your account. No, all my credit cards were zero for sure. Like I didn't have any balance remaining on them. I wasn't in any debt at the time. It was coming. But I spent it all. And as soon as the month was over, I was like, fuck, I got to do this again. I didn't take advantage of this at all. I have to make more money. And the next month, I felt super anxious. I felt super freaked out. I was like, am I going to have enough money to fly home to see my parents? I was living in Toronto at the time. It's a 2.5 hour flight. That's not really that crazy. The flight prices were not anything nuts. It's like, I don't know, $300 both ways. And I was like, am I going to have enough money to fly home to see my parents? That's the kind of state I was in. So before you go looking for the next hack, before you go looking for the next strategy, for the next funnel, for the next ad creative, for the next piece of content, for the next YouTube video that's gonna help you break past this income ceiling that you're at, take a look inside, take a look internally. Where do I feel most comfortable in my own life? At what point do I feel comfortable with the money I'm making? Is it 10K a month? Is it 15K a month? What is that number? For my agency, it was anywhere between like 10K Canadian and 30K Canadian. That was kind of the range I was playing with. I never really dipped below 10K for too long. I think I had 1, maybe 2 months out of 2.5 years that was below 10K top revenue, which is pretty solid. And I just couldn't break through 30, like 2K consistently because the exchange rate sometimes was a bit different. But every time I thought I was going to get to 30K American, I had the deals lined up, I had everything in place. I felt good about the fulfillment team. I felt good about the clients who were coming in the leads. It would disappear. It would get like 22. Okay, we're gonna get up to 25. Here we're gonna get up to 30, and then the deals would fall apart. That would get me to 30, and I'd stay back at 22 for about 9 months, and then it really started to tail off because I didn't feel worthy of making that money in the first place. Sure, I grinded really hard, and sure, my financial thermostat was between 10 to 30K, but as soon as I stayed at that upper limit too long, I started to fall back down, and I started to realize that when I sat with myself and when I really looked at what I was going through, my financial thermostat with the agency model that I was running at that time was probably more around 10 to 20K a month. But even still, I started to feel more worthy because I was putting in more time with the inner work to actually develop some sense of worthiness, to actually develop some sense of fulfillment and meaning besides the money I was bringing in. The most important lesson in all of this is that your conditioning creates your thinking, which creates your emotions, which creates your actions, which creates your reality. A lot of people try to change their behavior. A lot of people try to change their life by jumping ahead in that process and going, okay, I'm going to change my actions. Okay, I'm going to change my emotions. But they're not changing the meaning-making system that creates the emotions. They're not changing the conditioning at the root cause, which creates the thought process, which creates the meaning-making process, which creates the emotions, which creates the actions, which creates the reality. They try to jump straight to the actions. They try to jump straight to the emotions, but they're missing a crucial part, which actually helps you create sustainable change. Without this deep understanding, you end up spinning your tires or spending more money in the name of investing in the business, but the top line revenue, the profit, doesn't actually increase. This is what I saw with my agency. I also saw this with an agency I was working at. It was a huge content agency doing multiple millions of dollars a month, and their ad spend was around, I think, like 250 to 500K a month. And one day I saw the founder posted a YouTube video talking about how he screwed up, and this is when I was working with them still, by the way. And in the video, he talks about how they scaled ad spend from 250K to 500K a month all the way up to like $1.5 million a month. And they thought that instead of making $2-3 million a month, all of a sudden they'd see an explosion to 5, 10, but it didn't work. They stayed at the same set point that they'd been at for months. And so why is that? What could there possibly be going on that doesn't allow them to just put more money in and take money out if the system is actually consistent, if there is this process that's printing money for them, so to speak, and is getting people in the door and actually getting them to convert? Part of the problem was that clients weren't really getting results at this place. And so because the delivery wasn't up to par with what the advertising said it was, they couldn't get new case studies to use in their ad creative. Their ability to actually get people from inbound leads, referrals, was not great. So them spending a ton more money on ads was just spinning their tires. Them spending a ton more money on ads was just relying on the messaging, relying on the narrative, relying on the reality they're creating in order to get more people in. Their revenue, their profit would have skyrocketed, I guarantee you, if they actually fixed the leak in the business. But that cannot happen without awareness. And that awareness cannot exist if you do not understand the process of conditioning, thoughts, emotions, actions, reality. If the team was willing to do the inner work and actually assess the problem from an honest standpoint and look inwards and ask, okay, what is it about our process that's not getting people better results? How can we fix that instead of just racing ahead to make more money and push harder? Then things would have looked drastically different. With what I was doing, I thought, oh, the strategy is what's missing. The strategy is going to get me to the next level. And to be fair, there were things I needed to do better. I needed a clearer offer. I needed a better system with a VSL, with a landing page, and I needed to utilize my social proof better. I could have done better content at the time. But that didn't matter because I wasn't willing to look at those things because I was so caught up in my own belief system. I was so caught up in my own bullshit. The real problem was deeper, and once I started doing the inner work and looking inward to see what was going on inside me, then I had the awareness to work on all those things. That's when I joined Client Ascension, and literally the VSL funnel that they helped me create, along with Nick Verge, by the way, shout out Nick Verge, great VSL coach. The VSL that he helped me write and the actual funnel and offer that Client Ascension helped me create ended up printing over 6 figures in cash collected from that VSL funnel. So it really helped me out, and there was room to grow, but I wouldn't have got there. I wouldn't have learned that if I didn't do the inner work first. Last thing about point number 1, profit matters way more than revenue. And this is something that I learned last year in 2025 when I shut down my agency, moved to Thailand, and cleared my calendar to create space and time to think. I went from making anywhere between like 15, 20K Canadian a month top line revenue to making like 5K, 6K a month Canadian for 2 to 3 months in the summer of 2025. And even though it wasn't making meaningful progress on my debt, and even though it was more modest, I felt great because it was far more aligned with what I wanted, and the profit I was bringing in was just a little bit less than my agency. As I continued to do the inner work, I found a job that was willing to pay me about 10, 11, 12K a month American, depending on the month. And again, even though that was less than the top line revenue I was bringing in with my agency, especially at the peaks, I was bringing home more profit. I was bringing home way more profit, especially towards the end of my agency. And I wasn't doing as much work delegating. I wasn't doing as much work to bring in clients. With what I needed at the time, it was exactly the right thing for me. Do the inner work, understand your financial thermostat, understand what emotions you feel when money comes into your bank account. What habits do you have when the money comes in? Do you feel the need to push them away? Do you feel the need to spend it right away? Do you not feel worthy of it? Get really aware of those things, prioritize profit, and understand your conditioning ultimately drives the ship. You will be in a far better place when you do those things. With my clients, the ones who had the most sustainable growth and were actually able to keep their finances, keep their revenue high for longer periods of time, were the ones who've done the inner work consistently. So my client Steve, the reason why we don't work anymore together is because he passed away tragically, RIP. He was able to sustainably build his income because he's done the inner work and he's built such a big following with people who really care about him because he's connected with them deeply. My client Jillian's been doing inner work for a decade plus. So when I gave her the right strategy that fit with her business model, that fit with her unique personality, that fit with the clients she was trying to serve, she made far more money, far more sustainably. 32K in 3 months is on average almost 11K a month. She had never made 10K a month in a month before that. When you do the inner work and find the right strategy, it is way more sustainable in the long run. Step 2, the business model. How do you blend the things that are unscalable with the things that are scalable to get more of your time back, get your clients better results, and grow past the current financial ceiling you're at? Doing things that are unscalable might sound dumb. And what I mean by that is, this is a philosophy I learned from this guy, Frederick Pahos. If I'm mispronouncing your name, dude, please let me know. If you're watching this video, thanks so much. But he talks about part of what he learned on his journey, building his own coaching consulting business, was everybody has different needs and you can't just give a one-size-fits-all approach to all your clients. Sure, there are principles that apply to everybody. Sure, there are things that can help everybody no matter what part of their journey they're in, but the actual application of those principles looks different for every person. And so depending on how you're working with them, one-on-one or group, community, a workshop, whatever, you need to tailor that for people in order for them to get the best possible results. And to the bro marketer, big business bros, that might sound unscalable, but that's kind of the point. We're in business to get people results. So the way that you can take this unscalable approach and do it at larger volumes without negatively impacting the results of the people you're working with is to create an offer shell. The more people pay, the more proximity they get to you, the more customization and tailor-made the approach is for their certain situation. At the bottom, you have your free content. That's everybody can watch it. That's what you're doing here on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Then a step above that, you have low ticket workshops. People pay $29, $39, $19, whatever, to get a 2-hour workshop with you. You give them writing exercises, journaling prompts, guides, PDFs, whatever it is to help them get the result with what the workshop says it's fixing for them. Above that, you have your community, which gives them the necessary tools in order to get them the best possible results. Maybe it's a one-on-one onboarding call with you when they sign up and 3 months after to check in on them. There's probably going to be some sort of modules or curriculum for them to study. Maybe there's custom AI tools. There's probably going to be group community calls and workshops in the community that they can go to with special guests. And then above that, you have your one-to-one. So people get weekly access to you, one-on-one, they get everything else in the community, they get access to the custom AI tools, a roadmap, community calls as well, etc. If you're earlier in an offer, it does make sense to make it as unscalable as possible and give as many high-touch, high-impact factors so that people can get better results and you can get better social proof. Use that to grow your inbound lead flow and go from there. But the heart of the issue is, how do you give people a custom tailor-made program for themselves while also being able to give yourself a structure that doesn't rob you of your time and energy so you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off answering client messages all day. I love this model because I love talking to my clients and I love being with them. I'm not on Zoom calls 10 hours a day. I'm not answering WhatsApp messages 10 hours a day, but I am spending time with them, answering questions in the community, answering questions for my one-on-one clients over text, and creating content, creating YouTube videos, creating assets to help people even more, whether it's a lead magnet, whether it's a free training funnel, etc. I really love creating content. I really love coaching people. So this offer allows me to do so in a customizable way for each client, not spend too much time so that I'm burnt out all the time, and still have enough time to create content and do things that give me life, even outside of business. The thing to remember is you cannot have the business model that serves you and your clients if you don't do the inner work first. If you're not cognizant of how you feel when you start bringing in more abundance and how that impacts you, if you're not aware of your conditioning and your thoughts and how they create your reality, the business model is just not going to be there. And even if you try to create it, it's not going to work because it's going to directly interfere with the conditioning that's running the show. The best metaphor I can give for creating a great business model that works for you and your clients while being highly unscalable, but also scalable in the right ways because it has structure, is this. Before Phil Jackson started coaching the Bulls, Michael Jordan was the best scorer in the NBA. I think he was averaging like 33 to 35 points a game with Doug Collins. And when they brought Phil Jackson in, he wanted to implement the triangle offense. A lot of people were very skeptical of this. Critics are saying Michael Jordan's the best scorer in basketball. Doug Collins' offense is just give him the ball and let him do what he wants. How is this possibly going to make him better when you're taking the ball out of his hands more? And Phil's idea was that, sure, MJ's not going to have the ball all the time. And that might be scary because MJ's teammates got to step up, but he's going to be more efficient for it. He won't have to beat defenders one-on-one all the time because his teammates are going to know how to get him the ball in positions he likes the most. He's not going to be scoring 35 points a game maybe, but his percentages are going to go way up. He's not going to be burnt out all the time because instead of trying to create something on the fly every single possession, there is a streamlined structure and approach to getting him the best shots in the places where he makes them the most. His teammates aren't just sitting there in the corner watching him go one-on-one as well, so they're more engaged because they're touching the ball more and they know if they give the ball up, they're going to get it back in a certain scenario. Everybody wins because the structure allows for MJ to be creative in ways that make him more efficient and everybody else gets what they need. That's what an awesome offer shell does. This works extremely well with my clients, having a group coaching offer, having one-to-one, and having lower ticket workshops or even free events, webinars, whatever, to get people into your sphere and to connect with them on a deeper level. The clients I've worked with who have ran an offer shell similar to this have done extremely well in the long run. Corey didn't necessarily have workshops, group coaching one-to-one. He had free events, a junior coach, and his one-to-one, so he wasn't spending as much time with all the clients because of the sheer volume he had. My client Jillian, on the other hand, has one-off sessions that she lets clients book. She has her group program that's high ticket, and she has her one-to-one coaching that's high ticket. And she also has free events so that it's accessible to people who aren't ready for the high ticket containers yet. You don't need to have the exact offer shell that I use in my business or the exact ones that my clients use in theirs. Just understand that the more you give people an opportunity to go deeper with you and ascend up the ladder of your offer stack, the easier it is for them to pay you money and get better results. Make sure it works for you, your desires, what you want, and your skills. And finally, thing number 3, the acquisition system, specifically your content. If you are not mixing short form and long form, I believe you're leaving a ton of money on the table. You don't need to be pumping out a long form every day. You don't need to be pumping out 5 short forms every day, unless you have the time and really want to. Absolutely, go for it. But you do need to understand that content works as an ecosystem, not just a thing you do and you have this spray and pray approach. Wow, that was really difficult to say. Those PRs are really fucking me over there. Short form is a nice little snippet to get people interested in what you do. Long form helps nurture them on a really deep level. I have a YouTube, at time of filming, has 22 views. Nothing crazy. It closed a one-to-one ticket for me. So very efficient. A lot of coaches get discouraged with YouTube because they're like, oh, well, I'm not going viral on it. And like, you know, I'm not blowing up and getting a ton of subscribers and like I'm new at it and I'm bad at it. So like, I don't know if this is the right path for me. Get a valuable library on your YouTube. It will do massive wonders in the long run. I also had a client close 5K pay in full from watching my YouTube shorts. So people can close on your short form, they can close on your long form, but when you have both, they work in this awesome tandem together to nurture them and nurture them and create that deep connection with them much more efficiently. With your short form, half of it should be focused on top of funnel, trying to be seen by more people. The other half should be focused middle of funnel, deepening that connection with them by showing them their deepest pain points and getting them to understand that you can get them out of it. Content generally needs to follow 3 specific principles: connect with people on a deep level, shift the way they see the world, and show social proof. With your long form, it's really easy to do all 3 in a 20-minute video. In short form, not as much. So just understand, short form, alternate between top of funnel, try to go a bit more broad, try to be seen by more people. Middle of funnel, go a bit more niche, go a bit more narrow, show them that you understand exactly what they're going through. Then with your YouTube, the biggest problems they're going through and the things that are gonna move the needle for them the most, create those types of videos. People are far more likely to watch them. Most importantly, with your content, you need to know how to do actual market research and find your own voice so you're not blindly copying everybody. My biggest pet peeve in content right now is take all the viral scripts of the most viewed videos in your niche and put them into ChatGPT and create it's terrible. It's absolutely fucking terrible. Do not do that. You're just creating a giant cesspool of AI slop that everybody thinks is going to print them money, but it's not going to. When you look at videos that did well in your niche, in your industry, understand why. Who is that creator? What are they selling? What's their personality? What's their unique skills? What's their size following? Why did the video go viral? Did it actually make them money? Is it getting engagement? All these things help build the whole picture as to why this piece of content actually did well. Take the things that are relevant to you, leave the rest. Leave room to experiment. I used to do stand-up comedy for 4 years. My friends tell me I need to put more humor in my videos. Whether it's impersonations or skits, people get a real kick out of it. It has a higher likelihood of being shared, and it has a higher likelihood of getting people to look at your other stuff as well. So yes, try to go top of funnel with niche content, but also leave room to experiment and see what sticks. Those funny videos I do, the impersonations, the skits, the humorous stuff are some of my most engaged with content, and it's what has allowed my page to be seen by more people. Just make sure that when people get to your page and they are going to look at your content, it has enough meat with your middle of funnel. It has enough for people to feel seen with their deepest pain points. This was super instrumental for my client, Corey. Literally, that was the only content strategy I did with him. I said, look, what are people going through? We're just gonna talk about that. We're gonna put you in different scenarios to solve their biggest problems. And he went from 10K to 20K within 3 months. And then shortly after he got to 50K, I think it was in, just under 6 months after that. So in 9 months, he 5x'd his total revenue. With Jillian, similar idea. She had been doing the inner work. Once we got really clear on who she was talking to and who she wanted to attract and what they were going through and what they would find attractive, what they would find really interesting and really helpful, she was able to attract way more of those women. She got her first couple 5K pay in full contracts. She had never gotten a contract paid in full that large before. So connect with them deeply, shift their views of how they see the world, show social proof. Understand their pain points, leave room to experiment, and play to your unique strengths. Find your voice and be willing to leave room to experiment. But anyways, that's today's video. If you found it helpful, please let me know. Comment below. Subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for being here if you are. Even if you're not, thanks for being here. Drop a like. And if you want more videos on finding aligned clients with your content and inner work, unique ideas, content ecosystems, another video is going to pop up somewhere around here on this screen. And you can go watch it there. I'll see you in that next video. Peace.